Thank you so much for joining the School of Music today for our instrument show and tell. My name is Mary Arndt, and I'm the coordinator of career services and alumni engagement for the School of Music. I also happen to be a double demon with both of my bachelor's and master's degrees in voice performance. As many of you are aware, the performing arts have been particularly affected by our ongoing pandemic, and we've all struggled to adjust to our new circumstances, and we're really looking to reconnect with our communities in any way that we can. What I find I miss most is not only listening to musicians perform, but also hearing them share about their passion for music. And while nothing can beat experiencing music in person, I hope today's show and tell brings a little joy into your homes. I'd like now to introduce you to today's alumni guest artists. You'll see everybody once their videos are up or once they're performing, but I'll go through and introduce their names. Today we have Joe Barabak, Heather Bain, Marcel Bonfing, Emily Markovich, Alex Wasili, Emily Whittaker, and Kurt Zematitis. Like Emily Littlejohn said earlier, we'll be monitoring our chat. So if you have any questions during the program, go ahead and send those in the chat, and we can address them as they come up. So our first brave guest panelist today has volunteered, and that is Emily Markovich. So take it away, Emily.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Markovich, and like Mary, I also got my bachelor's and my master's from the DePaul School of Music in vocal opera performance. I am here in Chicago now with my family because of COVID-19, but otherwise I would be in Philadelphia. I'm a young artist at the Academy of Vocal Arts, and I'm working on my opera career and making music with them and their opera school, and I'm working remotely with them this fall. And what else? So my instrument is classical voice, which means that at DePaul, I studied opera and art song. And art song is just songs written for the voice from poetry, classical music. And DePaul taught me everything I know about opera. I did professional musical theater as a child growing up in Chicago. So Chicago's always been home, and I love Chicago. But DePaul really taught me everything I know about opera. And now I am exclusively singing opera. That's my focus on my career. And it just kind of feels like I'm using my voice to its fullest potential. And today I'm actually going to be singing an opera aria for you, which is a song from an opera. It's from the opera La Boheme, which is by Giacomo Puccini. It was written in 1895, and the story takes place in Paris in the 1830s. And actually, the opera is sung in Italian, even though it's set in Paris. And also at DePaul, I learned about singing in languages, which is the extent of my opera repertoire. I'm a soprano, which is like the highest voice, the highest female voice. There's different categories within voices. So I'm 25 years old, and I'm a lyric soprano. And then you can grow into different categories of singing. It's just kind of like dance, like there's different types of dance stylistically and your focuses. So I'm a lyric soprano. And like I said, I'll be singing an aria from La Boheme. And to give you a little bit of history about La Boheme, if you've ever seen the movie Moonstruck with Cher and Nicolas Cage, that's the opera that they go see at the Met. And right now, this is an aria from Act 3. And my character is Mimi. And she's been dating Rodolfo since Christmas Eve, and now it's February. And she's very sick. She has tuberculosis. But I think because they're young, because they're very much in love, they're all artists themselves. She's a seamstress. He's a poet. Their friends are musicians and all these different things. Rightly so, they're not thinking about, the struggle and the severity of her illness, more just about their love and living their life and having that bohemian style. So this happens in Act 3, where they've been fighting off and on, Rodolfo and Mimi, and basically he's so worried and feels rather guilty because he doesn't have the means to which he thinks are fit to make her well, but she's not going to get well, and that's all that is. And so this aria comes in when she says, let's not fight anymore. Let's break up, but there's no hard feelings. I'm leaving you now. Goodbye, without any regret, without any hard feelings toward each other. So this is this aria. It's from La Boheme by Giacomo Puccini. I hope you enjoy it. And here we go.
Addio, senza rancor. Ascolta, ascolta, levo che rogra donna che lasciai sparse. Nel mio cassetto stan chiuse quel cerchietto il libro di preghiere. In falce tutto quanto un rimpiane manderò il portiere. Sotto il guanciale c'è la cuffietta rosa. Se vuoi servarla, So that was that aria. Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you all joined us today.
Emily, thank you so much. That was lovely. Who doesn't love hearing a little Puccini on a Sunday?
Right?
It's like going to the matinee on a Sunday
Exactly.
afternoon.
Exactly. We do what we can nowadays.
Okay, so I think we'll move on to another one of our guest panelists today. Kurt Zematitis, you have the floor.
All right. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Hope you're enjoying this lovely Sunday afternoon. My name is Kurt Zematitis. I'm a trumpet player. I'm currently living in Newport, Rhode Island. I received my bachelor's degree from DePaul way back in 1993 in trumpet performance with a minor in jazz studies. I have been a trumpet player in the military for the Army and the Navy for the last 22 years. I served in New York, Italy, Georgia, Illinois, Virginia, and currently in Rhode Island. Just before Rhode Island, I was the trumpet instructor at the Navy School of Music in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So in the military, I get to play a wide range of musical styles, from solo taps jobs to a lot of bugle type jobs, to brass quintet, to ceremonial band, marches, wind ensemble, jazz combo, brass band, almost whatever we can think of, we can start a group and make it work for us. And it's part of the reason I joined. I love all styles of music, and if I'm playing my trumpet, I enjoy my day. I wanted a full-time job playing trumpet, and this worked out for me. We get to move around a lot and travel. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that's not so great for family life, but all the good days outweigh the bad. I get to enjoy all styles of music, and I get a chance to do that every day. Today, I'd like to do a little bit of a demonstration of the versatility of the trumpet by playing a few choruses of a blues in F. I'll start out simply and then use a plunger for some extra sounds and show some stylistic differences and techniques that the trumpet can make. For those of you that don't know, a blues is a 12-bar form. It's probably one of the older forms of jazz, and it's a great for jam sessions, and it gives a lot of creativity for the performers, and it's always enjoyable to play. So here's a little blues in F. I'll do about 3 choruses, and listen for the crazy plunger work in the middle. I'll have to back up a little bit. All right, thank you so much for listening. I hope my demonstration inspires you to check out some different styles of music, find something that you truly enjoy as well every day. Have a great day, everybody. It's been a pleasure to play for you.
Thanks, Kurt. I'm really curious, where have you traveled for work that you enjoyed the most? Or what was the craziest travel opportunity you had?
Well, that's kind of hard to narrow down probably for the craziest one, but I probably enjoyed when we traveled around Europe, going to Hungary, Spain, Germany, and Crete on a regular basis to do military jobs, and regular performances were probably some of my favorite jobs. The appreciation for the smallest live performance in Europe was always a little greater. So sometimes you take it for granted here when you play a couple marches and people just kind of politely clap. Where over there, you can bring the house down if you play the right piece of music.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Kurt.
My pleasure.
Okay, I think we'll go on to our next guest artist. Heather Bain, do you want the floor?
Sure. Thanks, Mary. Hi, my name is Heather Baum. I'm a violinist and a violist. I graduated from DePaul with degrees in music business and violin performance in 2007. This past spring, it was my privilege to be invited to co-teach one of the classes that I enjoyed the most as a student at DePaul, music business from the performer's perspective. And for my career and just as a musician in general, my favorite performing opportunity has always been with vocalists, whether it's pop, opera, musical theater, other recordings or orchestral choral works. So I thought I would play 2 melodic pieces for you guys today. The first for the violin is a selection from the Meditation of Thais by Massenet. And the other one is from Hamilton. I would definitely encourage anybody on this call who is thinking about exploring music as a hobby. It is the greatest hobby ever, in addition to being the most wonderful community of people that you could be part of as a professional. And I was so pleased, I'm so pleased to be part of the DePaul community. I feel like it's characterized not only by musical excellence, but the Vincentian ethics and values, which have been prioritized by the community. So here we go.
Thank you, Heather. That was lovely.
You're welcome.
I want to ask you a little bit about your work with the Theater Musicians Association.
Oh, yes. I'm president of the Chicago area chapter of the Theater Musicians Association and vice president of the National Theater Musicians Association, chicagotma.com. And it's an advocacy group for musical theater musicians that is national and local. And certainly this has been an unprecedented time to be doing that job.
Thank you again for sharing. It was lovely. Okay, we'll go on to our next panelist. Marcel, do you want to go ahead and take the floor?
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Marcel Bonfing. I am from Brazil, and I'm living here in Chicago for 5 years already. I did my undergrad in a university in Brazil called Unicamp in popular music, in folk music. And then I came here in 2015 to get my master's degree through DePaul in jazz performance, which means that I'm specialized in playing jazz, perform jazz and popular music. And my main area of research at DePaul was to know how jazz influenced the Brazilian music and how Brazilian music influenced jazz. and this was a great subject for me, very interesting for me, and how music and this mixture of genres can uh, shape your identity and how you see yourself in the world. But at DePaul, in my undergrad and at DePaul, I was doing my specialization in acoustic bass, this instrument here behind. I play as well the electric bass. This is the electric bass. I'm not playing electric bass today, but I'm gonna play the acoustic bass. And one of the main things of jazz and Brazilian music it is the improvisation. Basses is not usually the primary instrument for improvisation. We do most comping and sometimes melody and sometimes improvisation. So what I wanted to show for you guys today is a pretty well-known recording called Girl from Ipanema. In Portuguese is Garota de Ipanema. I think it is the second most well-recorded song in the world. So I'm pretty sure that you guys probably will recognize it. This song was composed for one of my favorite composers called Antônio Carlos Jobim, and was very well known at the recording with João Gilberto and Stan Getz in an album called Chega de Saudades. So I strongly recommend that you guys all check it out, those composers. As well, like I said, Tom Jobim, João Gilberto, Vinícius de Moraes, Chico Buarque, and another jazz composers too, like Bill Evans, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, and Miles Davis. For sure, those were my main influence to play jazz and to play music. So I hope you guys like it. I'll play a little bit for you of Girl from Ipanema.
Thank you very much, guys. My pleasure to play for you all.
Thanks, Marcel. That was awesome. I also feel like we had some good ambiance with the lighting in the background.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move along. Joe Barabak, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm going to move behind my bars here. My name is Joe Barabak. I graduated from DePaul with my bachelor's in 2009, and then I did an artist diploma at Colburn Conservatory in Los Angeles that I finished in 2013. And after school, I was discerning a religious vocation, so I was actually living in a monastery, Benedictine monastery in Chicago, the last 2 years. Until February I decided not to pursue that and to return to music. So it's been a couple of years actually since I've had a live performance on my instrument here, but I'm very much looking forward to today. It's been a wonderful opportunity getting to see all of the fellow alumni, and I've tapped into the alumni network, which has been a great resource for me returning into the world. The instrument I'm playing for you today is called a marimba. The bars here are made out of rosewood, and the keys are arranged just like they are on a piano. Most people might be more familiar with a xylophone. The marimba is made out of the same wood, but the range of the xylophone goes up from here. So it's got a lower range, and we usually play it with mallets covered in yarn. This particular instrument is a cool instrument. It was made by the J.C. Deegan Company. This is the number 40 model, known as the Diana model, and it was manufactured in Chicago between the years 1939 and 1941. And the resonators are made out of brass. The years it was made are significant because after 1942, once the U.S. had entered World War II, they were limiting the type of metal that Deegan could make their resonators from. So this still has the brass resonators, so it has a nice warm tone. The piece I'm going to play for you today is a cello piece, and I'm transcribing it here onto the marimba. This is from Bach's Cello Suite in G major. This is the minuet. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Joe. And I'm sure all of us agree. We're so glad to have you back in the music community. And I'm so happy that this could have been another performance opportunity since you've been back. So thanks
This is
for
actually my
joining
very
us.
first one in like 2 or 3 years here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thanks for sharing. Okay, we have a couple guest panelists left. So let's go over to Emily Whittaker.
Hello, my name is Emily Whittaker, and I'm from a small town just north of Toronto in Ontario in Canada. I did my undergrad at University of Toronto. I majored in French horn performance, play the French horn, and I took a minor in Indigenous Studies. Straight from my undergrad, I went to Chicago to study at DePaul University doing my graduate studies. So I did 2 years there and I graduated in 2019. So I moved in 2017 and I finished. I actually stayed at DePaul for a postmaster's program and did a year there, and due to the pandemic, I decided to move back home. So I have deferred my last year at DePaul. I moved back to Canada and I'm practicing away here, waiting until things get a little bit better, until I can move back. I picked up the horn, like many horn players, because of the sound. I fell in love with how it resonated, and I studied in my master's a lot about the history of the horn, and I learned that the horn really started out as made of animal antlers, and they would carve them out and use those for communication. And as the horn started being invented more and more, they started toying with wood and different metals, and it ended up being this big hunk of metal that would wrap around your body, and very similar to how we hold it today, but back then it would be around you, and it was used for hunting in France, for the hunting sport, to call beagles or your dogs. And so that communication was kind of the pivotal start of how French horn began to be put into classical music, into orchestral music. So the horn call, before, what I have is valves. Before valves, there were no valves, just a wrap of tubing, and they would call. So they would go, and it would be different communications of different sounds to communicate different things. And so you'll see these horn calls in certain types of music and different orchestral music, especially at the beginning. So for example, Mozart, he wrote his concertos for his best friend, and as a joke, he would add horn calls that were used for hunting into his concertos. So from his third horn concerto in the third movement, you can kind of hear, and that is now music. And so the French horn started being introduced into orchestral repertoire, and composers started writing French horn into music. And as the horn history went on, from just this piece of metal with no chromaticism, it sounded kind of like kind of wobbly, and it was hard to hit pitches. They couldn't write chromaticism. So later they started introducing hand stopping. When I play the horn, I put my one hand here and my right hand goes in the bell, and this tunes the horn. I can kind of tune the intonation. And we have something that's called stopped horn. You can kind of hear that ring sound to it. So back then, before valves, they would use their hand to adjust pitches. So rather than, they could all of a sudden go, and they could play a scale just with their one hand adjusting the notes. So then composers could all of a sudden write chromatic notes, and so people could write crazy things like which is an opening of Till Eulenspiegel from Strauss, and they could write all this different music. The horn kept going invented, hand stopping stopped. You can tell I'm not a natural hand technician. I don't really know what I'm doing very much there because I study more valved horn. And so all of a sudden valves came out, and so the horn could be written for anything and everything, and composers use the horn prominently. And so I fell in love with this music. This is the music that I've learned to study, is orchestral repertoire. And the range of the horn goes 4 to 5 octaves depending. I will do a chromatic scale to show you kind of the range of it. And if I pinch really hard, you can kind of get that screaming sound. Most composers don't really write up there. So it has a wide range. It's written for so many different types of music. There's many different styles. You hear the nice, soft, beautiful, melodic horn writing that you'll hear. Brahms does a great solo. Kind of like smooth. And then the horn didn't stop there with orchestral writing. It kept going. And now to this day, you hear horn in movie music. You hear it in the theater. You hear it basically everywhere. The sound of the horn hasn't stopped. You have Star Wars. It's just everywhere. I absolutely love the horn. I specialize in orchestral playing, and I've fallen in love with it, and I continue to choose to play every day because the sound and what you can do with the horn. It's very fun. So thank you so much, Mary and the alumni team, for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Emily. I am sure that we can't wait to have you back to finish up that second degree once all of this is done.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we are actually on to our last guest panelist today. So for our final guest, we have Alex Wasili.
What's up, y'all? How's it going? My name's Alex Wasili. I am a trombone performer, writer, arranger, producer, and educator. I am currently based in Los Angeles, but I did go to DePaul. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in jazz studies in 2013. Yikes, that feels like forever ago. But I make my living on this instrument right here. This is a vintage 1939 King Tubby Liberty. I actually was just, pardon me guys, I was just accepted as a Con Selmer artist as of last week, due to my studies on this horn, I guess you could say. So I'm super proud about that. But I make most of my living touring with a band called Dumpsta Funk from New Orleans, where I'm at right now, actually. We're in town filming a quick concert on Tuesday. But I'm based in Los Angeles, like I think I mentioned. So I do a lot of travel with the band, and it's a lot. It's normally when the world isn't burning because of the pandemic. We play about 100, 110 shows all over the world, all 6 continents. I'm always on the road, running around, and super grateful for it. Some artists that you guys might know that I regularly play, or not regularly, but semi-regularly. Regularly, I played with Christina Aguilera and the Isley Brothers, and I've had the pleasure of performing with Tower of Power last year. 2019 was a pretty great year before all this went down, but yeah, we opened for the Rolling Stones. We played with Tower of Power. We performed with Carlos Santana, Dead and Company, and then we did some stuff with the Tower Power Horns, which was pretty huge. So most of the stuff I do is hip hop, funk, soul, R&B. Although it's as part of my master class that I teach, I always say you should be able to play everything all the time, no matter what. So I love this instrument. It looks super old and rusty, but it works great. And I studied at DePaul with Charlie Vernon and Mark Fisher, and Tim Kaufman, Bob Lark, Kelly Sill, Ron Perillo, and a bunch of the cats before the beautiful new building came in. But yeah, I'm fortunate to have a career recording music a lot in Los Angeles. If anyone here, I'm sure all these killer panelists, you guys all sound great, by the way. I just got to throw that in there. It was truly a pleasure to watch and listen to you guys. But Los Angeles is kind of the place to go if you want to get into recording studio stuff for movies, or even just pop records and stuff. I'm fortunate to have just finished a 6-week-long contract with Netflix in a crazy bubble. I could go on and on about like the pod they built for the horn players due to the COVID restrictions. It's pretty crazy. So anyway, if you have any questions about me or want to talk to me about any of that, you can, just my first and last name.com. You can shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer anything personally. But yeah, so playing a couple things. I'll play 2 different things for you really quick. One of my favorite tunes of all time is a tune called In a Sentimental Mood. Beautiful Duke Ellington piece here. Coming in. So I'll play the first couple beats of that for you. I'll admit that I don't really play that much jazz anymore, although if you call me for it, I'll do it. Most of the stuff that I do is normally pop, hip-hop, funk, soul, so I'm going to play a real quick line from Rick James' Give It To Me, Baby. Everybody, from the great composer Rick James, as we like to say. But I absolutely love this horn line. It lays great on trombone, even though it's remarkably difficult. But yeah. And I could play the rest of it for you, but I'm not going to do that. But thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on board. Thanks, Mary, for hitting me up. Always happy to do stuff for, my homies and DePaul alum and all that good stuff.
Thanks, Alex. Really appreciate it. And I think what I loved most about today so far was the fact that we've had examples from Wagner and Brahms to Rick James. So I think we've covered the spectrum, which I love. So this is the end of our guest artist panel show and tell. I want to give a big thank you to the Office of Alumni Relations for allowing us to be part of the virtual alumni and family weekend this year. And I want to give an extra special thank you to all of our guest artists who shared their work with us today. Like I said, we really miss connecting with our community, and it's always a pleasure for us to gather, but also for us to share what we love with all of you. And I also want to thank you for tuning in today. I know if you're in Chicago, it's kind of a dreary day, so I hope this did brighten up your afternoon. I hope to see you all at the School of Music in person someday soon as well, fingers crossed. And if you're able, please continue to keep supporting your local arts organizations because we need it in this moment, and we hope to return to you as soon as possible in the flesh. So thank you again to all of our guest artists. If there are any other questions, go ahead and enter those in the chat. Otherwise, it's been a real pleasure to have you all here today. And I hope to see all of you very soon back at the School of Music.